Good evening and welcome to Thursday the 6th of January's episode of the State of Scottish Football, and a very happy new year to all our viewership. You're joined with myself, Greg Playfair, and joining me we've got Regan and Michael. So good evening, gents.
Hello, how
How
are
are we
you?
doing?
Good. How was your festive period?
I was very good, thanks. I managed to stay out of trouble, so no bad.
Not like you.
Yeah, mine was very quiet without the football. I think we're missing the football now. We want to get it back.
Yes, definitely. You've echoed that. I think we're all desperate for it coming back, Mike. So I know we've kind of had a few shows, obviously, in between the festive period. We've had our New Year specials as well. If you've not checked them out, have a look for our team of 2021. Some controversial opinions. Some people have said on the feedback, but pretty much I think some good picks there. Obviously, given the fact we're without Scottish football, it doesn't stand still. There have been transfers up and running. Again, probably one of the teams that we'll start off with, who probably made their January plans early and go back a year ago, it's not very much like them. Celtic doing business early, getting some players in. So they've probably signed, well, they have, not probably, they've signed 3 Japanese players. So you've got Ryo Hatate, the left back, left mid, centre mid utility player by the looks of it. We've got Yusuke Adeguchi, again, pronunciations for any Japanese viewers
Well
out there.
done, yeah.
And we've got Daisen Maeda. Maeda as well. So 3 players that come with a bit of pedigree. We'll maybe start off with the latter there, Maeda. So coming to yourself probably first, Regan, I know you've been a big fan. What do you think of the transfer business by Celtic?
I think the transfer business is a great statement of intent by Celtic. I think it's showing that they're very proactive, and it's credit to Michael Nicholson and credit to Ange Postecoglou, because it was this time last year we were talking about Celtic in a bad light, being in Dubai on a jolly, but now we're talking about Celtic being very forefront and doing their job and bringing the players in. I just hope they can bring in 2 or 3 more.
Yeah. Mike, sorry.
And I just want to add on Maeda. I think he's going to be absolutely brilliant for Celtic. Obviously, he's worked under Ange Postecoglou before. He's also joint scoring in the J League, and also is I just think he's all round. He's just got a great football brain. When I just watch him, I just think he's tailor made for Celtic, because the way that Celtic playing Scottish football is they create chances, and if you're Maeda in this team, I think you're going to enjoy playing in this team.
Yeah, I think when obviously looking at it, the deal for those that aren't aware of who Maeda is, he's a striker set to also play on the left, or also as an attacking midfielder. 24 years of age. He's signed on an initial loan with an obligation to buy on a long-term deal. Again, you were right. He's got 23 goals last season. He was in the J League team of the season as well. Again, he's a striker, not too dissimilar to Kyogo in that he's 5'8" in height, but one of his main attributes is pace. And again, I'll come to yourself, Michael. Is that a welcome relief for you that Celtic have almost a sort of similar style player to Kyogo that's coming in?
Well, I mean, first of all, I've got to say a year's a long time in football, isn't it? Because last year we were busy seeing Celtic players getting kind of bevied up, as it were. Got a good Scottish word there. But, I mean, Regan's right. Like, you've got to take your hat off to Michael Nicholson. And, okay, Nicholson's not come out with a kind of, like, press conference or whatever. He's done his business about quietly in the kind of background. And from a Celtic point of view, I think the whole Celtic support was quite surprised that we've signed 3 players at the one time, because usually we buy one and we wait until 5 minutes before the transfer window and say, right, okay, we better get more players in, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, I'm just desperate to see that the three of them. It's because it came at a bad time where the football was kind of like shut down for a few weeks, but. It's a good game to come back into, the Hibs game that's Monday night, and hopefully these three or at least two will be in the starting 11.
Yeah, so obviously out of the three obviously players that they've signed, you've got Maeda, Yusuke Ideguchi, who again, to make things easier for me, I know his old boss from Germany says he likes to be called Gucci. So Gucci, or probably that's how the Celtic faithful will address him, as Gucci. I don't know if he's going to be a Gucci type player in terms of his performance and abilities, but you know, I think one of the things that was said as well, that he has, he was obviously, for those not in the know, he has been in English football before. He's played at Leeds, had a couple of loan spells, once in the Spanish third tier, and then he went to Germany as well, I think in the Bundesliga 2 for Greer Fürth. And his old boss has said, described him as a player with military discipline, who he trusted more than any other player, especially after coming back from a long-term injury. So again, he's a predominantly a centre mid. Do you see Ideguchi starting for Celtic coming in?
Well, one of the things that I do like about him is he's very versatile and that he can play in a number of positions. So I think that'll be a player that Ange Postecoglou sees that he can use, because, as you know, Greg, Celtic had a lot of problems with injury this season. So I think Ange Postecoglou will see him as a versatile player. I don't think he'll be one that he'll be straight into the squad and do whatever. I think he's one of those ones that Ange will just know he's there. I think the two main ones is Maeda and is it Hatate?
Hatate.
Yeah, I think they two will be the main ones. But yeah, I think you can't go wrong with three new players in so far. And I just see that Liam Shaw's been announced as a Motherwell player. Somebody just said in the comments. So
yeah, it was seemingly rumoured between St Johnstone and Motherwell, so obviously he's chosen to go to Motherwell rather than a relegation battle, but we'll come on to St Johnstone and Motherwell's transfer dealings. And obviously probably another last player that we said was Hatate, who, again, if you know, he has won back-to-back leagues with Kawasaki as well. So he's coming in as a league winner. He's used to that as well. Said he's played at left back, left wing back, centre mid. He's probably set the dressing rooms up and served the pies at half time as well in Japan, because he seems to have done everything over there. So are you glad that, you know, having it seems to be that he's going to play left backers again as Celtic supporters? Are you kind of glad that sort of troubled position for obviously being the first half of the season, where you've had Juranovic playing there, you've had Greg Taylor, we've even seen Boyle play there, young Montgomery. Are you sort of glad that's been addressed in this window?
Well, I mean, see, one of the big things for me, and I just seen it in the comments there, I think it's Joe Porter, and he says that the big worry for him is that these guys have played a full season in Japan, and that's a kind of worry for me, is that they've already played 20 games in Japan or 30 games in Japan, and now they're going to play another 20 in Scotland. So for me, that's probably the biggest concern, is that maybe these players are coming straight into it from playing a full season in Japan.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you. You know, it's just one of these ones when Celtic was playing games and David Tumbo and people like that goes down with an injury, and the first thing was how many weeks is it out for? You know, Celtic's been very kind of unlucky with injuries this season so far. So no, I mean, I'm happy that we've got cover and up front now. So that's good.
Good stuff. In terms of obviously these three players again, kind of coming with some great reputations back in Japan. Obviously, I think they're all in line for their debuts against Hibs, but potentially, again, I don't know how it works here with obviously the rearranged games, but potentially if all three, along with Kyogo, are called up to the Japanese national team for the World Cup qualifiers, they could miss games with Hearts, Dundee United and Rangers as well. So an interesting viewpoint. So again, probably good to get players that have the understanding, again, can help each other settle in, especially going halfway around the world. But straight away they're in the team and then could be out again for a few games.
And then obviously you've got Tom Rodriguez as well. You know, and that's a bit concerning because, like, for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, Tom Rodriguez has been like a new signing this season. And you could throw into the mix Neil Beaton as well. Okay, Beaton's not going away, but we are talking about players going away. But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, you've got fantastic players coming in, but you might only see them for 2 or 3 games, and then they'll be away for for a month. And that's a bit concerning because I was watching the news today, and some players away to the African nations, and he's actually get picked up COVID as well. So that's a bit concerning why players are going halfway around the world, and you don't know if they're picking up COVID or not. So that's a wee bit of a concern, you know.
No, definitely. So I know you guys have kind of said around COVID, and I know one of the comments as well has said around good to have cover, but part of the reason Celtic are picking up injuries is this sort of high intensity style of play that Postecoglou has implemented. Do you see these 3 players coming in and hitting the ground running, or do you think there'll be a period of time where they'll need to settle in?
I think Maeda will hit the ground running because that is the main player that Ange Postecoglou wants to bring in. And from speaking to Japanese reporters, what they did say was that it was a surprise that Kyogo was picked instead of Maeda last summer. They expected Maeda to be Ange's first signing at Celtic, so I think that Ange obviously sees Maeda as the main man for him. What I do find quite interesting is that Ange's now got someone that if Kyogo drops out of the team, he's got someone that he knows that can come straight in there and play the same intensity. Whether Celtic fans in the comments will know that when Kyogo was out injured, people were a bit scared in case, Jetty doesn't play to the same intensity. But I think the intensity will still be there with Maeda in the team. So I don't think that'll be a big worry to Celtic fans anymore, because I think Maeda is the perfect replacement for Kyogo.
Yeah, I mean the way Celtic are playing at the moment, I think it will suit the new guys' style as well. I mean, at the top of the pod tonight, I mentioned about Michael Nicholson, but yeah, I mean, you've got to take your hat off to Ange Postecoglou coming in, and you know, because we had a Haggard team, and you know, he brought in what was it 12 players in kind of like one window, and that's never been heard of before at Celtic. But no, I mean, not to get too not to get too much ahead of ourselves, but I think he's doing a brilliant job kind of thing as well. But as I say, it's early days, and yeah, just get to see the new players playing for Celtic. Yeah, we've actually come a long way since we've actually played your team, Craig, in the first game of the season, Hearts. I mean, it was night and day, you know, because we were absolutely shocking that day, and you know, as the weeks went on, you could see that kind of momentum kind of like building very, very slowly. But as I say, don't get ahead of ourselves too far here.
Yeah. No, I think I'm just reading some of the comments as well around Hatate. I said probably I could see him playing left back, but a lot of our comments are saying it looks like he would play centre mid at number 8. I would kind of counter that and say, well, you know, because Ange Postecoglou plays with inverted fullbacks, the guys come in, surely that role's tailor-made for Hatate to play that left back that comes in the middle of the field. Because I think I know Greg Taylor is been much maligned a little bit for his career at Celtic because he's not an out-and-out attacking fullback. His delivery in the final third can be hit or miss, but surely I think if we're playing with that, again, it could be a toss-up now as well in terms of Juranovic or Ralston for that right-back slot, but surely for left-back, it's Hatate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because see, one of the things you said there about being tailor-made, I don't think that the left-back slot is tailor-made for Greg Taylor, because I just don't see him at the standard. I mean, you've got great competition at right back, as you say, with Josip Juranovic and Tony Ralston, but I don't think Greg Taylor is up to the standard, unfortunately, because what is the point of having great strength and quality in centre forward, centre midfield, and then left back being the problem position? I mean, I know that we're playing in Scotland, but if you're going to let a player of Tierney's caliber go for 25 million, you don't bring in a player of Greg Taylor standing to replace him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from obviously, I think from a sort of neutral standpoint, again, I don't see Celtic every week in terms of as much as you guys obviously go to the games and stuff. But looking at it, I think he's very much, it's a different style of player. You know, Kilmarnock, I know under Steve Clarke, was able to get forward more, but not in terms of like an out-and-out attacking left back. He's kind of more used to sort of being a defensive fullback first and foremost. That's his bread and butter. Whereas with Celtic, you're going to find yourself in opposition half more in your own half defending. So a left back in Scotland, it's probably the most cursed position as well. When you see obviously the likes of Kieran Tierney, Andy Robertson, we've obviously got others coming through like Aaron Hickey, who's ripping up in Serie A. So yeah, it's a difficult position to be, Greg Taylor. But also kind of staying on the theme of defenders and transfers, I know there's reports as well that Celtic are looking to get a permanent deal for Cameron Carter-Vickers. Again, we'll just start with him first. What do you guys make of that potential transfer on a permanent deal?
Well, you know, I would get signed him last month. I mean, he's a brilliant player. First and foremost, you're a defender, and that's what he does. You know, he doesn't try to play fancy dancy football out from the back, because we've seen that for many a year as well. But no, I would sign him. He's solid at the back, and he can win high balls as well. And you know, I wouldn't like to mess with the guy, you know. But no, I mean, seriously, I would sign him up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big fan of it. It's Spurs. He's played a few games down there. He obviously went to Bournemouth last year and done really well. I think Andrew's recruitment has been absolutely brilliant so far, and I think you can't question him. I've just noticed a few of the comments, and a few of the comments are thinking the same thing as me, and they're saying that I think Ange Postecoglou is probably one of the first Celtic managers that's been properly bagged for a long, long time. Even when you look back to Brendan Rodgers, I don't think Brendan Rodgers was totally bagged, because you look at players like Jeremy Toyan, who was absolutely hopeless for Celtic for a while. So, I mean, I think Ange Postecoglou is obviously told Michael Nicholson, if you back me properly, I can totally deliver what you want me to deliver. Mm-hmm. And I seriously wouldn't put it past Celtic going on to win this the Conference League, even though it would be quite funny for Celtic to win it, because it's the kind of third competition and it's quite funny. But yeah, I think they've got a good chance in all fronts, because I see the link with Boyle as well. Greg.
Yeah, I know a few comments have said that. I know on some of the reports today, Martin Boyle, again, on the New Year show that we had as well, resident Hibs fan Craig had said that if Hibs were to sell Martin Boyle, he'd be looking for a fee in the region of 4.5 million plus. I think today's reports are saying £3 million. Again, for a player at 29 years of age, predominantly known for his pace as well. We've just said with Maeda and Kyogo, these guys have got pace. But would Martin Boyle feature often for Celtic? £3 million? Is that value for money, and two, would he feature?
See, that's the problem for me. I would offer Hibs Mikey Johnson and say I want Martin Boyle because, see, to me, to be honest, I said this on the show last week, a few weeks ago when I was on, and I said Mikey Johnson is a good player, but he's not really at Celtic standard. And I think Mikey Johnson would be the sensible one that Celtic would say, right, we'll give you Mikey Johnson, plus we'll give you some money, and you can have him, because if you look at it, Celtic wouldn't even pay £2.5 million for Hibs' best player for a long time, and John McGinn. I still can't sleep at night for that, you know. John McGinn is one of the best Scottish players for a long time, and he was on BT Sport today saying his love for Celtic, and he's still got all the strips. You know, it's one of the biggest mistakes Celtic will ever make.
His granddad was chairman at Celtic as well, so you're not going to get much of a bigger Celtic fan than that. Sorry, Mike, what were you going to say?
No, I was just thinking about what you were saying there about Martin Boyle. We're going to sign him up. I'm not so sure at the moment. Maybe I'm being a bit hard on him, but if you asked me that question about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I would say yeah, but I think the situation's kind of like changed a wee bit more. But I mean, if you sign him up, I think he would be a cover player. You wouldn't see him much, kind of like in the starting 11. Maybe I'm doing a bit of disservice to the guy, but yeah, I mean that's how I feel about things. But I mean, if he signs it, he signs it. If he doesn't sign it, it doesn't kind of bother me too much, and that's not me being too harsh on the guy. That's just the way I feel at the moment, because I think we've got enough cover.
Yeah, see, that's kind of reminds me of Johnny Hayes when he signed for Celtic, because Johnny was ripping up for Aberdeen, and he scored against Celtic in the Scottish Cup final when Tom Rogic scored that last minute winner, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I don't really think Martin Boyle should go. If I was his agent, I'd be like, no way, because you're just going to go there for the money and ruin your career. He's playing well now. He's probably got one of the best young managers in Scotland, because Sean Maloney has worked under some great people like De Bruyne, Roberto Martinez, loads of people. But yeah, I just don't see any benefit in going to Celtic, because what is the point of going there sitting on the bench?
For me as well, I think Martin Boyle is very much came from. He was a bit part player. It was a part exchange for Alex Harris, and Dundee thought they got the better deal when he went to Dundee, and they gave them Martin Boyle in exchange, who almost was like a speedboat without a driver, just had pace. But again, he's worked his way up with the Championship. He's very much a Scottish, won the Scottish Cup with Hibs, very much a hero, known for his 3-day bender. After winning the Cup, he was seemingly out till the Tuesday, not had been home from winning the Cup. Again, his wife plays for Hibs as well. He stays local to Hibs training ground. He's very much got probably one of the best deals he's got in his career at Hibs at the moment. Do you give away that kind of hero status that you've got at a club to then potentially not even make the bench with Celtic, when you think you've still got Jota to come back in as well as a wide option? James Forrest has been there a while. Again, if I was Ange Postecoglou as well, and I think Mikey Johnson's had a terrible run with injuries, it may be that you want to loan him out to a team to get him back up to speed as well, because for me, I don't think it's much. I think in terms of, unless you're going to play him up front where he has been, which I can't see Celtic kind of changing their system to suit Martin Boyle. I don't think it's kind of $3 million well spent, if that is the rumoured fee. But we'll kind of take it from there. So then you go, Regan.
Do we see anything in this story, or do we think it's just the press putting 2 and 2 together because of Ange Postecoglou being Australian and Martin Boyle as well?
Martin Boyle's Aberdonian born, but I think it's, what tends to happen, obviously being a Hearts fan, Hibs fan, when your team's due to play Celtic or Rangers, you tend to find that your best players are linked with opposition. And who does Celtic have next?
Hibs. Yeah.
Let's like Martin Boyle with with Celtic. That's my own personal take on it. But in terms of transfers out of Celtic, I know I think Joe Porter put a thing there in terms of players that you've got that you would give in exchange for Boyle. You've still got Albion Ayeti, Bolly Bolingoli, Barkas, you've got Sorrow, James McCarthy, who's again will be on considerable wages, Connor Hazard, a cup winner, who doesn't make the bench. What sort of players do you think can you see leaving Celtic this transfer window?
I think everybody that you mentioned to go. I mean, if you want to touch upon Connor Hazard, and maybe this is a different conversation for a different night, but that's a weird one. How he saved a penalty in the cup final. Celtic gave him a new deal, and there's nowhere to be seen. We are a big question mark. But no, back to what you were saying earlier on about that the players should go. I think everybody that you mentioned should go, because I don't see them getting a game, not even 5 minutes, and that's me being maybe too harsh, but too nice at the same time. I don't know about you, Reagan.
Yeah, I think I don't think you'll see Bolingoli. I don't think you'll see Ajeti. The one player I would think would stay would be Barkas, simply because of the Joe Hart situation in the last St Johnstone game. I think you'll see Joe Hart stay. But I think the rest of them you'll probably not see, because Bolingoli has not really got back in favour since the trip to I think it was Spain when he went off last year.
For a wild weekend in Spain, it wasn't it? A wild few days.
Aye.
Part of him.
Was it not salt coats? No.
Salt coats of the Mediterranean, I think it's called. Magaluf.
No, but I just hope that all the players find clubs, and hopefully Celtic can get a few more in. I'm just going to ask, do you expect Celtic to bring a few more in? Because to me, I think if they get rid of the players that they're talking about, surely they need to go and spend a bit more money then and bring more players in.
We definitely got a goalkeeper, because it's a bit worrying what you were saying as well. And we saw before the St Johnstone game, I think it was the game at home where Hart got injured in the first half, and he ran up. But like, if he gets injured or whatever, we've not really got a kind of like backup goalkeeper, as Joe Hart's qualities. So there was talk of them going for that. Is it Seagrass at Dundee United?
I've seen David Marshall be linked to Dundee United as well, but I think he'd be a good option for Celtic, because we all know his love for Celtic.
Yeah, and he's not got a team either at the moment. So yeah,
no, and he's obviously back up in Glasgow. We're having some nice meals with friends as well. So obviously, if Celtic could get him back in the boardroom for a wee chat, then that would be an obvious person.
Since you've mentioned Glasgow, we'll cross the city to a team that you two probably are not too fond of, but we'll talk with Rangers in terms of their transfer business. I think the first place we need to start is Nathan Patterson's move down to Everton. The fee has been much debated on social media over the last few days. I'm not going to get into that, but we're going to call it a multi-million-pound deal down south to Everton. For me, it seems that it's a win for a number of factors. It's a win for Rangers in the sense that their academy system have produced a player who's went for a club record fee. It's a win for them because also it's their kind of second choice player as well. It's not he's currently behind James Tavernier. It's a win for obviously the player himself, who gets to go down to Everton and have a realistic chance of playing every week, given Everton's form and that they've been playing ex-Celtic loanee John Joe Kenny there, who again, I look at these both and I can see a cold sweat going down your back and a shudder. So realistic chance there. And also for the national team as well. I think we've been talking about him being our first choice right back now moving forward. So I'll come to yourself first, Regan. What do you think about the move for Nathan Patterson?
I think it's a great move for him because I've spoken about it on this show with David, and I've always said, what is the point of Patterson not being involved in Rangers squad because there's so much potential in the guy, and he just needs to realise it. Because I know he's a big Rangers fan, but it's time to move on. And also, I think it's like you said, Greg, the Rangers are in £23 million in debt, so that'll clear some of the debt as well. And obviously, it might pave the way for them to maybe get Connor Goldson in a brand new contract as well. So I think it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah. What do you think, Michael, about the move for Patterson? So when you're happy to see him go down south in terms of a talent leave your rivals, or are you more happy for the player in the national team?
Yeah, well, I mean, it just shows you that he just broke into the team a year ago and he's away already. It just shows you that the talent the boy's got. I think it's a win-win for both parties here, Everton and Rangers. I did hear a rumour the other day that expect more players to go from Rangers. I heard about another 3 or 4 to go in this window. And I heard it from a good kind of like source the other day. So we'll watch that one. But yeah, I mean it's you always like players to go down to England or whatever, not to leave the team that you're supporting enough, but it's always good to kind of like put a good mark in Scottish football and say, well, I came from a club in Scotland. What everybody thinks it's a lot of mans that kind of league up the north of the border, and I think maybe this will be a stepping stone for him in a few years' time, and also I'll help with his international career as well with Scotland. I mean, you just have to look at Kieran Tierney. He's kind of like holding his own down there at kind of Arsenal as well. So no, I mean, I'll wish him luck, and I wish him luck in Old Bencliffe to see how he gets on. I think his first game this weekend in the FA Cup. I'm not sure who they're playing against, but I'll be good to watch him in another blue and white jersey.
Again, just on Patterson, one thing that probably irked me about the move overall was him having the number 3. Being a right back, going down there. I'm quite traditional. I like my right backs of number 2. I know that's Seamus Coleman, I think, or John Joe Kenny, I think, number 2 actually. But yeah, right back with a number 3. I think he said it was for his mum's birthday, being on the third of the month. Yeah, he's number 3.
Oh,
so that'll take a bit of getting used to seeing him having number 3 playing on the right. But in terms of other players coming in for Rangers, they have signed American international James Sand on an 18-month loan deal with an option to buy from New York City. He's 21 years of age, can play centre back, right back, or in the heart of midfield. As I said, 6'1" with 7 USA caps. He's on the back of an MLS Cup win, which again their league goes almost to a knockout tournament. Won the cup this year in 2020, last year in 2021 under ex-Celtic manager Ronnie Dyla. He won the Gold Cup with the USA as well last year, and also made the MLS All-Star teams. In terms of that, obviously I know probably you two guys won't know much about him, but do you think that sort of signing is needed for Rangers, having a guy that can almost kind of cover at right back and also in the centre of defence as well?
Yeah, the only problem I've got with it is that I remember Celtic signed a few guys from the USA a couple of years ago, and those guys never played a single minute. So you just don't know what the plan.
I would counteract that as well, though, and say that I think James Sands has got a bit more pedigree. Seven national caps, won the Gold Cup. I think the two boys Celtic signed were like from universities or like kind of second tier, the division below the MLS as well. So I think obviously know they as it didn't end up signing. I think one of them was obviously linked with Rangers as well, but chose Celtic. But I think looking at it, it's a bit good. 6'1". Again, obviously can play in the heart of defence. I think as well they've got that loan deal as well. So if it doesn't go well, they can terminate it as well by the looks of it.
I think what you would say is you wouldn't write off football in America, because that's a kind of, I mean, it's on Sky Sports now, so yeah, and you don't go on Sky Sports unless you're Scottish football. No, that's like a wee dig there. But yeah, I mean, and as you say, 6 international caps as well. I mean, you don't get these caps for nothing. But I think this is a window where you're going to say that Van Bronckhorst is going to bring in his own players, because when he came into when he got the job, it wasn't his team, so he's trying to put a stamp on his team and bring players in from kind of like far and wide. So we'll just see how it goes. But I don't know anything about the guy, so I can't comment. So I think it would be disrespectful for us to comment on a player that like we haven't saw, if that makes sense.
So, Greg, do you think that he's the obvious replacement for Patterson then, or do you think he's just a stopgap for the squad?
I think he gives them options as well, because he can play right back, play in the middle. I've seen obviously Rangers are also linked with Skov Olsen, who plays at Aaron Hickey's team, Bologna, who, again, if Rangers were to sign him, I think he can also play right wing as well, so it gives them another option further up the park. Again, if Rangers did sign this young Dane, Skov Olsen, has a knock-on effect because Bologna are interested in Aberdeen's Calvin Ramsey. So, yeah, it could be a bit of a transfer merry-go-round affecting Scotland, but I think he's an option for there. I think, it's a low-risk kind of signing when you look at that in terms of low-risk, kind of higher reward. The fact it's a loan deal, the fact that he's proven international, the fact that probably he plays alongside, I think he's played in the centre of defence alongside Barcelona right back, Serginho Dest. So, he's kind of going from that to Tavernier. So I don't know if that's an upgrade or a downgrade, but
yeah. I just wanted to ask you guys a question. Surely the sensible thing for Rangers to do was to sell Tavernier and have Patterson there for the next 10 years.
I think it goes back to who would take him. I think, what was he? Tav's 30 as well, so they might not get the sort of money that's on offer, as you're saying. If it's £18 million, it's one of the fees that's doing the rounds. That's an astronomical sum of money. In terms of Scottish football, I think for me it's a good sign as well that often teams look across the Hadrian's Wall and think, let's get a player on the cheap. You've seen that as well in terms of players going down. I think John McGinn, after his first 6 months, was linked with 40-50 million pound moves. So I think we're now starting to, I think we'll see as well, because of the whole COVID situation, the pandemic, that clubs down south will start looking at Scotland as well. And I think you look at John McGinn, obviously Robertson, I know it was a few years before, but he went down to Hull. Edward is now in Crystal Palace. Even further back, Van Dijk went straight to Southampton, but again, you could have went from Celtic straight to Liverpool. He was that good. So I think hopefully, in terms of Scottish clubs getting more money, that our players will kind of go for the top dollar. You
wouldn't be surprised if Steven Gerrard come in and they say, "Hi, can I take my leather?" So a few players out the team as well, because it's funny how managers move on, but they all come back for the old players. It used to be for the old for their team there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gerrard comes back in a few weeks to look at a few options.
Yeah, and I think, speaking of that, I think Glenn Kamara has been linked with Aston Villa and over the last few weeks as well. But I'll move away from Rangers and you guys can relax a bit more. We'll kind of go down the sort of teams by the rest of the league positions. So that means we can start with Hearts, which I'm pleased to tell you. In terms of the sort of main business Hearts have done, they've brought in right back Nathaniel Atkinson, known by Natty Aka on his social media handles. Again, has been an Australian under 23 international. Again, looking to try and get full honours with the Socceroos. Again, he'll be joining his compatriot Gammy Devlin as well. So right wing back, that's where Hearts have signed. Again, I'll probably know more about him than you guys as well, so I won't put you under the spotlight and ask for your thoughts on him.
I just want to ask you one thing on that. Do you think that the Australian market is a good market for the Scottish team then? Because you look at the Devlin, he's been great for Hearts so far. Do you think that was really key in them bringing this guy in?
Yeah, I think they have been. It's a good market. Celtic are obviously going to Japan. I think one of the things that's been happened because of Brexit. We'll not get to that. There's a politics show for State of Mind if those that want to discuss politics. But one of the things with Brexit means that it seems to be a lot easier to get players in. So I think Hatate, he's not got any full honours for Japan. I think in previous years that might have been hard for him to sign for Celtic, but it does make it a lot more easier. So guys like Devlin and obviously Atkinson as well can sign for Hearts. You've seen there as well Ireland as well, which we'll probably get onto. I know a couple of teams in Scotland have signed players from Ireland. I think there are leagues out there. Personally, I would sign players from Japan, from Australia, from Ireland, guys that probably want to come here and see it as a step up, because too often clubs in Scotland sign guys from England that think, I'm going down to this football and backwater, I'm doing them a favour by going up there, sort of thing, and they've struggled. And how many players have came even for Celtic, Rangers, and other teams in Scotland have came to us and absolutely struggled from crossing the border.
Yeah,
and I suppose just quickly to say, I suppose it's like if players come here from Japan, Australia, even Iraq, Celtic was looking at players the other week. It's good, kind of like it's good. It's a good kind of PR exercise for Scottish football.
Yeah, definitely. What were you going to say, Regan?
I'm just going to say, in terms of you being a Hearts fan, what is the positions that you're looking for them to strengthen? Because I'm watching them over this season and I'm thinking they're missing a big target man if Boy's injured, because if Boy is injured, then they're basically struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry to the big guy up front, but he's not really done too bad.
Yeah, it's a funny one. There's a show from the other week there where I was on with Dave, and he was calling him me Julie, and I was like, what are you talking about Ali G for? But Nondue, he's seemingly set for a move, if rumours are to be true, down to Salford. Gary Neville's team are actually paying money for him, which I'm happy to take that. But yeah, Robbie Nielsen was asked in his press conference, that's not a press conference, but in an interview, how much to Hearts need a striker, and he went this much above his head. So I believe 2 strikers will come in for Hearts rather than just the one. So right wing back we needed. I think Atkinson will kind of plug that gap. My other concern is probably in defence. So if you take Atkinson out of the equation, our sort of regular back 3 and our wing backs are all out of contract come the end of the season. So obviously John Suter's been it's kind of expected that he will sign a pre-contract with someone in the coming weeks as well, with either Rangers or a team down south. Obviously Craig Halkett's out of contract, attracting interest from the Championship. Stephen Kingsley, who I could see going to Rangers, as well as a replacement for Barisic if they were to sell him, where he was to go. Obviously, we've got Maloney at left wing back, Andy Halliday, who plays there. He's out of contract. Michael Smith's out of contract. Peter Haring, who can play centre back, he's out of contract, centre mid. So I think defensively, Hearts probably want to try and get guys signed up. Taylor Moore, who's on loan, he's only on a temporary basis. So defensively, Hearts probably want to get new deals for our players or new guys coming in on a permanent basis.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in terms of Suter, do you think he'll go down south, or do you think he'll go to Rangers? Because I think it'd be a great deal for Rangers, but I think because his brother's playing down south, and he's also got that. He's got that call up to Australia. I think Johnstone will see. I'll see what his brother's doing down south and think, if I can play down south, then I can get an even bigger move than Rangers.
So again, I'm in Hearts group chats. It's been going on all day in terms of with the news broke this morning that he is speaking to Rangers. So there's two ways to look at it. Now, again, as much as you guys will hate to say, but Rangers have a realistic chance of winning the league, have a realistic chance of winning, obviously, winning the domestic cups. He's got good exposure here in terms of, obviously, his international prospects as well. Can play in Europe, be it, obviously, the Europa League, Champions League, can do well there. Or the other side of me thinks, well, you know what, he's had 3 serious long-term injuries. Again, the more money potentially will be down even in the Championship. Look at Blackburn. Blackburn have got a really realistic chance because the rumour clubs are Blackburn, Sheffield United and Stoke are the 3 clubs rumoured. Blackburn could very well in 6-7 months' time be preparing for life in the Premier League. And you see that as well when guys from Scotland have went down and taken to it like ducks to water. So
I mean, especially because Blackburn are second top of the Championship, so that would be a move that would probably appease him. Because if you look at that striker they've got, Diaz, he's banging the goals in, and they could be straight up to the Premier League.
Yeah, Brereton Diaz, the Stoke-born Chilean international, which, yeah, he would totally do well in the cinch with that sort of exoticness around him. But I think Hearts, there will be some more signing, I think striker, and for us, maybe even just strengthening the defence in terms of new deals or bringing more some permanent guys in.
Yeah, because something I just want to mention before we go on, but you must be overjoyed with the move that they've went to sign Craig Gordon in a brand new contract, because he's been outstanding this year. He really has.
Yeah, definitely delighted. I think there's a question obviously we had for goalkeeper of the season in terms of 2021. Unanimous, apart from the Motherwell fan going for Liam Kelly in our group, it was kind of unanimous there, which again, for only being 6 months in the top flight, obviously Hearts from the Championship last season, I think that kind of speaks volumes of the kind of renaissance that he's had. He's obviously now playing for a World Cup place as well. He wants to kind of play for Scotland for as long as possible. He's probably looking at Gianluigi Buffon playing at 44 for his boyhood club Parma, and he's thinking, well, I could maybe do the same for Hearts. So, yeah, I don't think Hearts could arguably do better business this season in terms of signing up on a new deal. I know young Devlin and Ingame, you could, and even maybe Barry Mackay, you could argue have been well for Hearts, but Craig Gordon's probably head and shoulders our player of the season, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't win it. I know obviously it's all second half of the season to go, but I think given his form, he'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
So when you go, Regan?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, because if you look at his performance, especially at the Tony Macaroni Arena, it was outstanding that day as well. And if it wasn't for him, they would have probably lost that game by 3 or 4 goals.
Oh, absolutely. Conscious we've got a few other teams to talk about transfer business, and again, we'll cross the Edinburgh divide from the maroon half to the green half, and obviously the question at the bottom here, the strap line, is who's in the best transfer business in Scottish football. We've had lots of comments saying it is Hibernian. I know since we've been on live, just announced the loan signing of Harry Clark from Arsenal, who you may recognise was playing for Ross County for the first half of this season. Right back, centre half, he's just been announced, along with the deal today for Ewan Henderson. A loan deal with a view to a permanent deal as well. And obviously they've signed Melkerson, the Norwegian striker, as well, for a reported £300,000 as well. So I'll come to you first, Regan. What do you think of Hibs' transfer business so far?
I think they've been doing great, to be honest. I think they'll do really well this season. Like I said, I'm really, really impressed by them signing 3 really good players, because, like I said to you earlier, I think Clark from Ross County, which has been really good.
Yeah.
I think Sean Maloney will attract some really good players because from being in that Belgium setup, he's going to have a lot of good contacts as well. So I think the Hibs will be on to a winner with him. I think they're in for a great second half of the season, and I think they're only something like 7 points off third. Is that right? I think it's 7 points.
Yeah, 7 points behind us. Yeah, they're sitting on fifth and 2 points above Aberdeen.
Yeah, because I definitely wouldn't write off third place. To be honest, I know you don't want to hear that, but I definitely wouldn't because I think that in terms of Sean, I think he's really doing well with them, and I think if they can keep all of the best players and add a few, then I think Sean's in for a good season.
Yeah, no, I would agree with Reagan. I really enjoyed watching Hearts and Hibs. Just to keep the pace with you. This season so far, there's been good games, and I actually enjoyed the derby, even though it was a kind of 0-0 game. But I might think a bit weird here when I say this, but it was a very, very entertaining 0-0 game. If you can get a very kind of entertaining 0-0 game, but yeah, look, I'm looking forward to see what Maloney brings in, and obviously, as Reagan was saying, they might tap into the Belgium market and bring one or two players over. Maybe a few bars of chocolate as well. I'm not actually sure.
And the Belgian beer as well, no doubt.
Yeah.
In terms of any sort of players out, obviously I know we've talked about Boyle. Is there anyone else you think Hibs would be loath to lose? Obviously last season there was bids for Nisbet and Ryan Porteous. Do you think those players would even attract interest?
I think they would. I think they would take offers from the Nisbet, to be honest, because he's not pulled up trees much this season, and he's also got a Scottish international slogan on him. So I think clubs will be seeing maybe if they can get a wee deal for him.
And I know you've asking about Poiters there as well, but yeah, he's a good player. Gives me to calm down a wee bit. He just runs about with like a headless chicken sometimes. But if you can cut that out of his game, then he would be a good player. But in saying that, if it was like you need sometimes you need that a hard tackle if Hibs wasn't up to speed in the game. But as I say, he needs to kind of like cut that bit out as well. But yeah, I mean, Nisbet, I'm quite surprised get other teams not looking at him as well because he's a very, very good talent.
Yeah, I think it's a bit obviously young Melkerson that's came in as well, another striker who, I'll be honest and say 300 or 350 grand. I think a couple of the comments have said for a guy who's played in the Norwegian second tier, it is a bit of a gamble. But obviously Maloney and I think from what I understand, he was already scouted before Maloney had came in. Maloney had obviously watched the videos and stuff and spoken with the recruitment team there and kind of sanctioned the move. So if you have him, you've got Christian Deutsch who's came back in. Nisbet, Boyle now plays as a striker. Obviously, potentially one could go, although I have just seen that Jamie Gillan's joined Rafe Rovers, who kind of has been on the periphery of the team. So potentially one more that could go there. Conscious of time, so we'll kind of start going to other sort of transfer business that's going on. Talking about strikers, we'll come to Motherwell, who probably during their time in terms of sort of major transfers, I know we've said Liam Shaw's joined on a loan deal. I'll probably ask you guys firstly, what are your thoughts on Liam Shaw joining Motherwell?
Yeah, I think he's a great player. I watched him for Sheffield Wednesday. I think he's been a bit unfortunate when he's got that competition in him at Celtic. But I think maybe David Turnbull at Celtic maybe had something to do with this. And I think Motherwell's a great place for him to go and develop because you look at some of the players that they've brought through in the last couple of years. So, no, I think it's a great place. And like I said a few weeks ago, Celtic need to keep doing what they did with Ryan Christie. They sent Ryan Christie over to Aberdeen. Then the following season he was great, and I think this could be the same kind of progression that Liam Shaw could make.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think it's just came in to the team at a wrong time where we've got players coming from all over the world now. But yeah, it'll be good to loan them out to the Motherwell. I've actually quite enjoyed. I may as well say I've actually quite enjoyed watching all the teams this season, but Motherwell's been a good team to watch as well. And I know that we'll go on to speak about Tony Watt as well, but yeah, so good have to wait and see what about Liam Shaw. The only thing you would say about him is he'll get a game every week.
You'd hope so. I think the other thing as well, it depends on them. I think if it's centre back, he'll probably play there because I know they've also signed a young Irish Ross Tierney, who's obviously played well for the Bulls and Bohemians over in Dublin. So that's another kind of transfer in for Motherwell. In terms of sort of players out, although not out as this would no sign the pre-contract with Dundee United and Tony Watt. But what's your guys' thoughts on Tony Watt signing that pre-contract with Dundee United?
To be honest, I do think that he should just go now, because if you look at the amount of uproar that's been on social media, and he was left on the bench the last game, there's just too much around it. He just needs to go now and settle down at Dundee United, score the goals for them, and hopefully get them in the top four in the Premiership.
I mean, to be honest with you, and I totally agree with Reagan there, but I do not see about this pre-contract deal. That this should be stamped out of football. I remember like Gary Caldwell, when he signed a pre-contract for Celtic, all the Hibs fans were booing him every week. When they touch the ball and all that. So yeah, I think the Dundee United should just pay them money now and just sign them up, because. And it's not that. It's like, were we going for like 50-50 tackles and all that kind of stuff? So you've got to ask yourself that question as well. But no, I mean, I would do away with this pre-contract thing, because it just annoys maybe the annoys football fans. I can tell you that much, and his teammates as well. But no, I mean, I think it will be a big loss for Motherwell because he's scored a lot of goals for the Well so far this season. But I think he's only going to Dundee United for more money. That's just my opinion.
Certainly not a winning team. They've lost their last 5 games on the spin, and it's a 6-point difference between Motherwell and Dundee United just now. For what it's worth, I think a deal will be made to see him go beforehand, like you guys are saying. But we can obviously, I'm sure, over the weeks ahead, and obviously we'll be back soon with other shows. I'm sure we can dissect this in more detail. Conscious I want to try and get a couple of more deals in as well, and obviously there'll be more some Celtic references as well in the next one. So St Johnstone, the bottom team in the league, they've been very busy so far this January. They've signed Irish centre half from the Dunk, Dan Cleary, who again for the gap there for having lost Jason Kerr, he seems to is going to slot in there. They've also signed left back Gallagher from Liverpool as well on a permanent deal, and they've also signed a player who, again, I'm sure you two guys know quite well, and Nadir Chifti. He's back in Scotland after what he says are not very impressive spelling in Turkey. So what do you guys make of St Johnstone's transfer business so far?
I mean, I just feel when I heard that when I heard the news yesterday about Nadir Chifti, I thought I fell asleep and never woke kind of like back up. But I didn't think he was still playing football. But yeah, I mean that came out a bit of left field, that one. But we'll see how he goes on. He never fitted into. In fact, he never fitted into Celtic at all when he was here. So yeah, it's right. And then let's come on. St Johnstone is in dire straits at the moment compared to last season, where they won the double and all that. and Tat Callum Davison was rumoured for the manager of the year. We know how that ended up. But yeah, I mean, we just have to kind of like wait and see. As I said earlier on, a year's a long time in football, and a year's a long time if you're a St Johnstone fan, because it's totally the opposite from last season.
Yeah. Quickly coming to yourself, Regan, as well, in terms of the business for St Johnstone.
Yeah, I mean, I think St Johnstone will sign a few more players as well, because they've not been doing too well, as Michael said. But it's good to see Nadia Chifchi back in the game, because he done well for Dundee United. Maybe not so well for Celtic, but yeah, I think he could do a job for them, because they've got is it Kane up front, but apart from that, I don't think anybody else.
Stevie May. But yeah, I think for me, he'll play as a target man, and you'll have Kane running or Stevie May running off him as well. So I'd imagine he's lost his pace from his spell over there. I don't think he's obviously done much running. But conscious of time, and what I'll do with you guys, and I'll sort of just give me the team. Don't have to give an explanation. Who do you think's done the best transfer business so far? So I'll come to you first, Michael. Who do you think's done the best business so far?
Well, I'm not going to say this because the team I support, but you would have to say Celtic.
Celtic. Cool. Yep. Come to you, Regan. Who do you think? One word answer.
I'm going to go for the green side of Edinburgh. It's Sean Maloney's team, the Hibs.
Hibs, right? Okay, I'll have a bit of a cast and vote here. I would probably say Celtic as well, given how early they've got the transfers in.
Is that because you didn't want to side with Sean Maloney's team at the other side of Edinburgh?
Listen, we've got them in a derby coming up. I can't give them too much praise, but that's all we've got time for tonight, folks. I think one of the comments said it's been like listening to smooth radio, so that's certainly a compliment we'll all take on the back of this. So again, we've got more shows coming next week, so again, be sure to subscribe on the usual channels, and until then, we'll speak to you